Hey guys, it's Jim Halterman. I am here chatting with, I'll say my old buddy. We've known each other a long time, Colin Donnell. Loving the attire. You guys, we're talking basically the morning after the championship,
Yeah,
um, which was pretty wild. And we're both IU alumni, which I don't know if we knew that. I just found out, I think, when I was doing some research on you, and I was like, wait, IU? And yeah, I was there before you, though. I'm a little older than you, so I was there like 10 years before you.
slightly probably, but it's like
Slightly.
I use the Great Connector. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a huge alumni association, and it's like
Nice.
I don't think anybody that has graduated before like maybe this year or last year
Yeah.
ever thought that we would be rooting for Indiana football to win a national championship in our
No.
lifetime.
Never, because when I was there, I went to the football games, but it was all about basketball. I was when Bobby Knight was
Yeah.
coaching, and I was there in those years.
Hmm.
So I was there in the '87 championships. I remember all that and the streets. So now the streets are probably full now and all that. So we'll go IU. And I love the attire though. I wore red because that was the closest
I
thing
love
I had.
it.
I had to at least wear red. So I wanted to chat with you just because one I've been talking to you for years for different
Yeah.
things, for TV, for stage, all those things. Tell me about your relationship with the stage. I feel like is that like where you always gravitate towards, even between movies and TV, because you kind of do a little of everything.
I feel very lucky to be able to have hopped back and forth as often
Yeah,
as I have. But it was always home. It always feels like coming home because it's where I started.
yeah,
I don't think that when I started my career, I really had an eye on doing television or film. It was, I grew up a musical theater kid,
yeah,
and my dream was always to hopefully be on Broadway someday, or just, doing plays and musicals and all that. And I was very lucky to be able to do that almost straight away. And then the TV world came along, and it has just worked out in this pretty miraculous way that one project has ended and all of a sudden there's an opportunity to come back and do something on the stage.
yeah,
Um, and we were just talking a little bit before, like about the play that you saw a couple of years ago, The Shark is Broken.
yeah,
What a fortunate thing to have been able to do during the writers and actors strike
yeah,
for film and television. It was to be able to have that to, I don't even want to say fall back on, but to be able to have that in my back pocket and
yeah,
to get that opportunity to still work and do some really cool work at home.
yeah,
It's really lucky, and I don't take it for granted because it's
yeah.
not. There's something that you don't get in television that you do get on the stage, and vice versa. There's
Sure.
something about TV that I miss when I'm doing a production in New York. So to be able to fulfill all of those sort of back and forth like I have is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great. Do you remember the first time we met and first time we chatted?
I want to say it was out in Pasadena, wasn't it?
It was not. It
Tell
was
me.
in Vancouver on the set of Arrow.
Oh
Um,
gosh,
it was in
yes.
the Queen Mansion. I remember because it was one of those trips.
That's right.
Warner Brothers used to bring like a group of anywhere from 8 to 14 journalists, and we'd all just hit every show up there because that's when everything was shooting. And we
Yeah.
spent probably a day at Arrow and got to chat with you. And I think that's the first time we ever chatted. And then we just, would chat over the years for different things, Chicago Med, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
it's always
Yeah.
amazing. By the way, Patty says hello. She
Hi,
wanted to
Patti. Yeah,
give a
she's
big
great.
shout. She's off recording an audiobook downstairs right now, but
Oh, good for her.
oh, please tell Jim that I say hi.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. I feel like I read more because of her because she posts so much about reading and I always feel guilty. And I'm like, oh, I don't read enough. So I feel like I should.
Try living at home with her, Jim. And I read a
Um,
lot.
going back to TV, tell me about Chicago Med because that to me feels like was a good not a turning point, but that was a good career job for you, wasn't it? Like that was a big show. It was right out of the gate very successful. Can you tell me about what that meant for your career at the time?
It was a new experience dropping into a show that already had an established universe and an established fan base.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Arrow basically created all of that. Um, but I wasn't really around to see the fruits of like the giant. I wasn't on the show full time. So it was a neat thing to supplement a universe of television shows with another high quality show. And it was my first experience being on a show that went for. I mean, it's still going now. Obviously, I'm not
Yeah.
there. It's
Yeah.
to play the same character full time for close to 90 or 100 episodes was a new experience for me, and it taught me a ton. I was working with some fantastic people over there.
Yeah.
And just getting the reps of being on set every day for 10 months out of the year after year, was invaluable. And
Yeah.
and I loved the character. I loved where they took him over the years.
Yeah.
And there was always something new to try. And that crew that we had out in Chicago was phenomenal. It was a lovely place to go to work every day.
Okay. A friend of mine that's a huge fan of that whole franchise said I had to ask you, they do bring people back once in a while, either for a guest spot or for an arc. Is it something that you'd be up for down the line in the future?
I mean, it's certainly something that I've never closed the door to it at all.
Right.
And I know that they brought Nick Gelfus back for a couple episodes or
Yeah.
one or two. So I'm always open to the possibility.
Let's talk about Ragtime. That's the big reason we want to talk, which
Yeah,
I'm so bummed I haven't been able to see it. I'm on the other side of the world, but maybe I'll get back to New York before. I think it's running till through June. Is that right?
yeah. We're running till June
Okay.
14th.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know it's doing well because I see not just your posts, I see everybody posting about just what the show means to them. And tell me about your character because I feel like you're the kind of guy that usually is a good guy. And not that your character is necessarily a bad guy, but he's pretty complex and definitely a lot of layers there. Can you talk about just your relationship or you playing father in this show?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think I love playing characters that audiences sort of hesitate to
Yeah.
gravitate towards. And there's a lot about Father that is unlikable, for lack of a better word. I mean, he is there's some racism and misogyny that comes through pretty aggressively. And it's not like I'm trying to get audiences on my side by any means, but I think the takeaway that I want audiences to have is that this is a person who is emblematic of a certain type of person of that
Yeah.
era and honestly today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Everybody knows a father out there,
Hmm.
and for better or for worse. And the way that I didn't want to hold anything back and pull any punches of the ugly sides of him, but the way that I always have approached him is that he's doing his best, and I think a lot of it comes out of fear that everybody in his life is moving so far and so quickly beyond him and
Yeah.
his way of thinking that he's just trying to hold it all together
Yeah.
in a what ends up being a pretty terrible way, but he's doing his best and doing the only thing that he knows how to do.
Yeah. Was it I don't want to say easy, but as far as getting in his shoes, how did you work that through? Like everything you just said, but the fact that you have to play him, you have to understand him. Was that a challenge for you to really get there?
I don't. I'm kind of an unthinking actor. A lot of these thoughts came it came as a result of just doing it and sort of looking at it in hindsight.
Right.
I mean, the show is so brilliantly written, both musically and the script. Terrence McNally put together a wonderful script from the book, and Lynn and Stevens' music is so visceral and so epic and so wonderful that, I mean, it was all there. It was just sort of giving myself over to it.
Yeah.
And all of those things that I was just talking about before, kind of those discoveries happened after the fact. And
Hmm.
it's nice to lean into them more as I go along. But I mean, to be quite honest, it's a bit of a, it's not a struggle, but it's very, it's a bit draining at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Living in that sort of headspace, and it's been a nice teaching moment of
Mm.
how to have fun backstage despite all of the ugliness that's on stage, and how
Yeah.
to let it all go at the end of the day and come home and be here with my kids and Patti, and just know that all the things that are done on stage are necessary for the time that I'm on stage, and then it has to go away.
Your last show, the last show I saw you in, The Shark is Broken, in 2023. You wore a Speedo. There's no Speedo in this one, but you do have this fabulous beard, which I love. How are you feeling about the beard? Because you've had it for a while, you're going to have it for a while. Are you okay with not shaving for the
I
next, what, five
mean,
more months or so?
it's all right. I will say Patty likes me to keep it clean around here so she can find my mouth to give me a kiss every once in a while. That's nice. I love having a beard, and I think it's great that I can grow one, and it's always interesting to see how much gray comes in every time I grow it now.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. So much
But
great for beard.
I will definitely be okay with letting it go, at least for a moment when the show is done. I think that'll be the final, like, shedding of the character.
Yeah. Is
Um,
the beard specific to the times? Like, did somebody actually do research and said this is how it should look and how it should be shaped, that kind of thing, or not?
I mean,
Not
we
so?
certainly, like, I did my own, and we have a wonderful hair designer who sort of helped and okayed things along the way. But
Okay.
yeah, I just did some research to see what kind of different facial hairs were like quintessential to the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And, this is somewhat similar. It's like a little bit more close cropped on the sides, a little bit more towards the front. I could have done a mustache. I think Mark Jacoby in the original just had a single
Ah,
mustache.
okay.
Um, so there were options there, and this is the one that felt the most civilized for going around day to day in.
The cast album just came out. Just I think it came out, yeah, just like a week and a half or so ago. And some shows you don't get to that point. I mean, this one you guys kind of knew, but tell me what was that experience like, even just recording the cast album?
It's spectacular. It
Wow.
really is. It's sometimes when you do these cast albums, you do it like the day after you open a show.
Right.
And it's wild because you sort of have that in the back of your mind while you're going through opening, and you're tired because you've just been like it's been a slog to get to opening with long days and long nights. But this, we luckily, because of a little bit of fate, actually, they couldn't get a studio until like a week and a half after opening. We had a little bit of time
Okay.
to let it marinate. It's an interesting thing to record another version of a show that is already so beloved and exists in
Yeah.
people's minds, like as the version. The response to our version of this album has just been incredible. Like, apparently, I don't have TikTok, but apparently TikTok is just wild all over the place for it. And it's what I think is incredible is that Concord, who did the recording for us, they were just so adamant about capturing our individual performances on the
Mm,
album that it really makes the album.
that's great.
It's not a recreation of what Audra and Brian Stokes and Mark Jacoby and Marin were doing back on the original album.
Yeah.
This was our show, our version of this ragtime. And I think people are responding to that. And to be able to sit in this room, just a quick story, like we sort of, we're not always all there for every little bit of the
Right.
recording process, but I got to be there when Caissie did her Back to Before recording, and I was
Oh,
sitting in the control booth, and it's me and the engineer and the mixer and our producers, but then there's also Stephen Flaherty and Lynn Ahrens and Tom Kearty and a couple other producers on the show. And you're sitting in this room with a 28-piece orchestra in front of you
Wow.
behind glass, and then Caissie's in the booth by herself, and I've got my cans on and I'm listening to this glorious song, and she's doing it and she's killing it, and it's just beautiful. But it's not like every version of it, every take was so spectacular. But at the end, she finished one take, and before anybody could say anything, she just like sort of went like this, and she wanted to do it one more time. Everybody was like, "Yep," hit record, and that I'll never forget that one particular take. It was so locked in, and of
Wow.
course she sounded beautiful, but there was something about the performance that she wanted to give on that she knew that she could,
Ah,
that she wanted to preserve forever on this album. That was so wonderful, and it's like one of those mind blowing, like, you remember the old the old Max tape
that's what I
commercials.
was just thinking. Yeah.
That was exactly, all of us just went like,
That's
whoa.
great. So as of now, the show's ending in June. We'll see. Maybe it'll go long. Who knows? Do you have anything coming up in the last half of the year, or are you just ready to take a breather?
Right now, it's taking a breather.
Good.
I mean, that's the tentative plan, but I love to work, and I'm
Yeah.
anxious to get back onto a TV set somewhere, hopefully. And there's tons of stuff being made in New York, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But if I've got a little bit of a break, I won't be mad about being home every day for bedtime with the kids,
Yeah.
because it is the one thing about doing doing theater is that you're gone a lot
Yeah.
and you miss a lot of bedtimes, and it's 6 nights a week, 8 shows a week, and so you don't, I would like to be around for a little bit.
Well, I appreciate the time because I know the time is precious. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me. Always a pleasure.
Anytime,
And
man.
okay, cool. Thanks so much, Colin. Say hi to Patty.
I will do.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
The people called it ragtime.